Hi, welcome to You Time. The purpose of You Time is to help you prioritize yourself by taking a few minutes each day so that you can be the best version of yourself for the other people in your life. So, on today's episode of You Time, I wanted to invite my friend Lori because Lori is the mom of two small children, and I kind of wanted to get her perspective on how she can find any time at all to carve out time for herself when she's living the life that she's living. And I mentioned actually a little bit about Lori and our pen pal relationship in my last podcast. But Lori, I don't know if you want to give just your version of how you became my Lori.
Sure. And you know what? I apologize. I actually just listened to that episode earlier today. And I was surprised to hear you talking about me, even though you had said something about it on the Weight Watchers thing. So on that, yes, we met on the Weight Watchers. Do you call that a social media site or a page?
It's social media.
It is, but it's more controlled or more limited. But anyways, we met on there, as you said. You had mentioned something about pants. By the way, I just thought about those pants the other day. I'm like, where are those black pants? And then I remembered, like I had year amnesia or something. I forgot what year it was. I'm like, oh yeah. You had mentioned something about needing a new size of pants. I'm like, hey, I have a couple pairs of work pants, slacks that were, I think they were still in pretty good shape. And
they were in great shape.
I sent them off to you, and then you responded with a kind but unnecessary subscription to Cooking Light magazine. Cooking Light? Was that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, and then it just kind of went from there, and we started writing letters. And we have been sinning a lot lately with texting and emails. But I did hear on your last episode about getting back to the writing, and I concur wholeheartedly. There is something about receiving a piece of mail that is totally apart from a holiday or a celebration or a bill, of course, or something. It's just like, I don't know what it is. It's wonderful.
And it happens so infrequently, I think, that it's just like a really
and I think about in our letter writing, sometimes I'm such a brat because I'll be like, Synne, I sent that 4 days ago. Why haven't you responded? Like, I think about people writing and throughout history and waiting, and if, like, they don't even know if their family made it to the new country. Like, are they alive? Yeah, so I do love it, and I find myself being impatient, but I am willing to look past or get past that to continue enjoying it.
And wasn't it funny? It happened. I think you sent me a birthday card, and I had bought almost the exact same birthday card to give someone else.
Yes,
wild. I need to make a trip to somewhere to buy some new stationery. I'm kind of out of cool stationery right now.
Yeah, I actually bought a box of that same card that I sent you, but the thank you card version of it. I just bought it over the weekend from a website that I like, and I'm excited for it to come. I gave myself a moratorium on shopping online. I love shopping, and because of my limited time, I'm a working mother, that I can do, because I can do it in the middle of the night when I'm not sleeping, or when I'm holding a child that is asleep in my arms, whatever. So I just became very efficient at shopping online, and so I really had been telling myself I needed to dial it down or cut it out. I went a month without buying anything online, and I'm excluding diapers and vitamins and that because that doesn't count. Well, the other day, I decided I needed a new phone, and I did, and I made the purchase of a new phone online without consulting my husband. That was huge. And that apparently opened the floodgates. Then I bought some shoes, which, by the way, while we're sitting here, I can see the delivery person bringing those shoes that I just bought. Some sweaters, some stationery, including those cute thank you cards. So I've had to now stop it again.
Well, shopping can be you time for lots of people, including me.
Yes.
So I was hoping just, not to get too personal, but maybe if you could kind of give a little bit of a day in the life of Lori, just, what your day looks like so people can understand and appreciate all of the different, hats that you're wearing, before we get into a little bit about things that you do for yourself besides online shopping.
Sure. So, yeah, I am a working mother. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and then I work full time Monday through Friday. I do work from home, which is hugely beneficial in a lot of ways. It has its challenges too, but my husband and I have kept our same routine basically for the mornings, even though I do work from home, as far as getting up and getting the kids ready and out the door. My children go to daycare 3 days a week, and then are here the other 2 days with my in-laws looking after them. So it can be a little crazy, but I am not a woman at home with her children all day, my children all day, and I am not that kind of mom. I have some girlfriends who would love to be at home with their kids all day, but cannot for financial reasons and therefore have to work. And I don't share that thing, which makes me feel horrible even saying it, but it is my truth. And I came to that a while ago. So there it is. So we go through our same routine basically every morning of getting up, getting kids ready and out the door. And then I literally walk into my office here on our house and begin working. And then, at the end of my work day, 4 o'clock, I go and pick up the kids, bring them home, entertain them, try to keep them from getting into it too deep with one another, because they are, especially my 2-year-old, is a hitter and a biter and a thrower. And then
The trifecta.
yeah, God, yeah. My older one is going to be the artist or the engineer, and my younger one is going to be the physical athlete or whatever his life or his profession may be, wherever his life takes him. I think it'll be that. But anyways, and then I try to make dinner with the two of them underfoot, which is no easy feat, and try to make a dinner that's not going to make me want to end my life at the end of it, and get the kids to bed, and maybe have a little bit of time with my husband before I myself have to call it a night. And that's it, day after day after day. Over the holidays, we had one of my husband's cousins visiting, and she's in her 40s too. She's not married and doesn't have any children. And she was kind of seeing the chaos of our lives, and she goes, so what's next? What else do you guys have going on? I'm like, this is it. This is, which sounds, that has such a negative vibe, but that is it every single day. And the weekends even more so.
The weekends are so hard.
I hate the weekends. Like a 3-day weekend is the bane of my existence. I feel like saying it, but it is true. And I have seen like more moms online, like I follow a lot of comedians online, on Instagram and stuff, posting things about like, thank God it's Monday. It's true. And I get a lot of paid vacation from work, which if I was not a mom would be amazing. But like I got 2 weeks of vacation during the holidays, and it was exhausting. I couldn't wait for January, whatever, to roll around again to get those kids back on their school routine and be back in the office and everything. And I feel, like I said, I feel terrible saying that, but it is my truth.
Well, I will. And, I've said this to you a handful of times about a lot of different challenges about raising small children. And, I only had the one, but I promise you that it will get better with age. They get to a point, like now I have to beg Cole to hang out with me. He just, he has all these things that he's doing, and it gets a lot easier when you do not have to be the sole source of entertainment.
Yeah, that's what I have been told. And when I see women or parents that have children younger than mine, or when I see a woman who has like one infant or toddler and is pregnant, first of all, I'm so thankful that I'm not at that point in my journey. But, like if they say something to me about I have 2 boys, they'll mostly comment on that because it's craziness. But I will say the same thing to them. Like it does get easier as it gets older. And so I take what my friends like you who have older children say to me, and I really take that to heart. Like, okay. And it does get easier in some ways. And then of course, new challenges present themselves. Like as they get older, particularly the 4-year-old, he will very much play by himself and entertain himself, and he's a very imaginative player. Whereas the 2-year-old still needs a little bit more guidance from us, and because he is the physical one, I really have to like watch it, you know. But I am so desperate and protective of my alone time, my self time, and fiercely jealous of people that do have that. I mean, and I've shared this with you before, like your life right now, you have a lot of, or you have time to do things that I can't do. And I am very envious of that, and I struggle with that. But I'm also so in love with those children. Like at the end of the night when I'm kissing them goodnight or able to snuggle with them for a few minutes, it's like I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, you know. It's like I feel this tug and what's the other one? Pull, whatever. Constantly wanting my own space and constantly wanting them almost physically on me. You know, like I can't get close enough to them when I just want to like breathe them in.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
so sweet. And I remember that, and I still have that a little bit with Cole. Like he somewhere in there snuggling, he couldn't say it right, and it became nuggling. And then even when he knew that nuggling wasn't a real word, he would still say, can we nuggle? And a couple weeks ago, I said to him, I said, "Oh, do you want to nuggle with me?" And he just kind of looked at me and rolled his eyes. And
Is he 11 now?
he's 10,
Yeah.
but he's in fourth grade, and he just, our time together is very, very different than it used to be.
Yeah, sure.
But I do know that you're balancing all of these things, and trying to maintain a marriage on top of the kids, or with the kids, or in spite of the kids. I don't know,
Yeah, it's
and
in
I'm not
spite
sure
of.
the best
That's
way to
right.
say that,
That
but
is the right word. Yeah, in spite.
I do know, just based on the nature of how you and I came to know each other, that self-care is something that you're mindful of. And I wanted to just talk a little bit, again, knowing all of the constraints and the challenges and the things that are on your plate. What kind of things are you able to do, and what kind of helps you step out of the craziness, if only to refuel to jump back into the craziness?
Well, as much as it pains me to say it, my husband is actually hugely helpful with that, even though he probably doesn't realize it. He has the patience of Job. I mean, he and I could not be more different as far as that goes. I'm very quick-tempered and easily frustrated and annoyed in life, but also with the kids. And I have gotten better about vocalizing, like, you need to take this one, I can't, like that kind of thing. And he probably thinks that is just atrocious, but that's what I need to do for myself, so that I don't lose my temper and go down a road that I don't want to go down to, or go down with the kids, because we don't discipline physically. So,
Right.
but I have to stop myself from that, because that's not the way that I was raised. But
Right.
so he is that for me. And my husband is a giant pain in my ass, but also the thing that keeps me from totally losing it a lot of times. Like, he has realized over time that I need a lot of space and time to myself. I didn't even realize that about myself until after I had children, which I don't know how somebody would know it about themselves until they were forced to not, or it was kind of, quote, taken from them. But he has done some things for me, like recently for Christmas. He signed me up. I had told you about this, and he signed me up for a weekly art class. Excuse me. And art is something that I love and is so important to me. But the idea of taking a weekly class is like ridiculous. I can't. The class is on Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 9:30. He gets home from work at 6:30. That's when dinner is. It's when, all that stuff. And he gifted me with this 10-week course. And not only did he even like the financially, like he, signed me up for and paid for it. Not that it's that expensive, but that he took that upon himself to then do everything with the kids on those nights. And it's not, there are a lot of single parents like yourself that do that all the time. But for us, that was the gift for him to do that. So that A, I get the time to myself. B, I'm getting to go do something with art. And I don't know what the C is, but I'm sure there is a C in there somewhere. And, I come home and the house is a goddamn mess and whatever. And then I, of course, have to like make up for that. But it's huge. And he does things like that all the time. He started taking our older son with him every Sunday morning. They go get donuts and coffee. He started doing it when Benjamin was probably 4 or 5 months old. On Sunday mornings, they go do this, and they would get out of the house for like an hour or an hour and a half, because I was suffering from postpartum, which Kevin still doesn't understand what that is. But he knew that I needed something, and that was his way to help me. And so he still does that with the kids. He takes them every Sunday for about an hour. And even though I'm not sleeping, which was the original intention, it gives me time. And I know that I get a lot of time that a lot of my other mom friends don't. And so it has made me even more appreciative of it, but also even more protective of it.
Right.
Like if you had wanted to schedule this conversation at a time when I would normally be by myself, because I'm technically working right now, I would really have to think about it. Like, is this something that I want to give my time to? And yes, I would, of course. But you know what I'm saying? Like I don't allow myself to, or I don't allow things to take my time that aren't like a must or very important.
Yeah, and I understand that. My cat's trying to break in what I would love to call my studio, but it's my bedroom. So they're making a lot of noise. But I totally get that. And the only reason that I'm able to do this little side hustle podcast thing is because Cole is old enough that he can go sit in his room for the 30 minutes it takes me to record it, and then maybe I do the editing when he's not around, and the the physical logistics of getting it online.
He go to bed?
He goes to bed at 9 now. These cats are really driving me crazy. He goes to bed at 9 now, but for years and years and years, really up until maybe a year ago, I had him going to bed at 7:30 from like day of birth till just a couple, like a year ago. And he's funny. I mean, he's a morning person, and he's an early riser, and he gets up at 6 every morning, and he even sets his alarm on the weekends to get up at 6, which it's kind of funny. It just makes me think of my dad. But, he's at the point now where he's okay if I'm not physically like on top of him. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know if I told you this. I got him a phone for Christmas.
Ooh.
Because my ex-husband and I were talking about it, and I have my things that I do to care for myself, and two of the big ones are Weight Watchers and Pilates, and I'm forever like schlepping this kid with me to sit in rooms full of middle-aged women, and be bored to tears. Well, I like to think. What's that?
He goes to meetings with you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and people know him, and I like to think he's observing some good skills through osmosis, but
yeah.
I don't know how much he's paying attention. But anyway, my ex-husband and I decided together that he's at an age now where he can be left home for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
Or an hour and 15 minutes, I would say, with Pilates class. And I didn't have a landline, so I wanted him to have a phone. So now, on Monday nights, we have dinner together, and then I scoot off to Pilates, and he's home. So that's huge. It's a huge place to be. But I know kind of going back to you again, I think the art class thing is great for a number of reasons. And then I know that it gets you up at a ungodly time, but you're also a runner.
I am a fat girl who wants to fit into her pants, so I run. So I wouldn't I would love to say I'm a runner, because when someone tells me that they're a runner, I have an image in my mind, and that is not me. But yes, I have been getting up. It's a very slow run. My husband would probably call it a jog, but I have been getting up in the morning. I've just gotten back on track with it, to run, because that is the time I have. I don't know why, but when I was working, actually going into the office, I exercised at every lunchtime. So I was more dedicated to my physical health then than I am now being at home. I thought that I would be exercising more working from home, but I've been filling my time with other things and not prioritizing myself. And I constantly am thinking that I need to adjust that. But like, I'll find, like, oh gosh, at lunch I'm gonna run to the grocery store. I gotta go to Target to get this kid some shoes, or I'm gonna talk to my friend, because I'll schedule phone calls with friends at lunchtime instead. So yes, to answer your question, I have been getting up early to go get some exercise before my household gets up, and it totally sucks because I don't like it. But and it's cold. Well, it's California version of cold.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know I send Synne screenshots of the temperature here, and it's usually, sometimes it's in the high 30s or 40s, but she will then counter that with a screenshot of the temperatures in the single digits
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And when I went this morning, I don't know if I told you, but I did go this morning, and it immediately sets the intention for my day as far as food goes, but then also just how I take care of myself the rest of the day. And of course, I love it that it's done. Now it's behind me, like sitting in my Weight Watchers meeting today, I just felt like I was a because I had been, running or walking already in the morning. And I don't know
Well,
that either could say the same.
that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is probably the biggest, or one of the quote hardest things that I do is get up early. I have some mom friends, or like my sister gets up like I get up at, I'm out the door at like just before 6 to go do that. And my sister will get up at like 4:30 or 5. I have other mom friends that get up at that time. And there's no way in hell I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning unless I'm getting on a solo flight to Hawaii or something like that. Like, I'm not getting out of bed to go exercise, or I have, a child that's vomiting or something.
Right.
Ugh, yeah, I
Right.
don't like it. And Kevin is definitely not a morning person. This morning when
Yeah.
I came back in, he goes, "Are you already back?" Like, he just boom fell back to sleep immediately when I was leaving. But yeah.
I was always one of those exercise in the morning people too, and then my just kind of by nature of the schedule offered at my Pilates studio, it ended up being in the evenings, except for on Saturday mornings. I think, the daytime classes cater a lot more to kind of stay at home moms, and they'll be at, 9 or 10 o'clock or something. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's obviously not something I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is that I'm not commuting as often, so I don't have that time to talk myself out of the nighttime exercising that I used to have. If I was driving home from Boston, it was, it was an excuse, but I'd also have at least an hour in the car to be like, nope, not going to exercise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that you struggle, but you do carve in a little bit of you time with the exercise. And again, I love this art class concept, and I hope you keep up with it.
I told Kevin, I said, you better, what class do you want to take or something? I kind of throwing it to him, and he hasn't answered. I've asked him a couple times, like, what would you like to do when my class is done? Something for yourself. And I told him that I'm like, because I'm going to sign up for something else. So you get a chance when I'm done, and if you don't have an answer, then I'm signing up again. So speak
No,
now or for
I think that's great. I hope he doesn't come up with an answer.
Right? I know.
Or
It's
maybe you can have a class and he can have a class.
I know. This week is a doozy of a week. I have my class on Wednesday, and then I have to leave to travel for work on Thursday. So he'll be doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights by himself. Now, let me preface this by saying I did it by myself for a month and a half when we were mid-move, as you know. He was
Yeah.
already out of the area. I was working, taking care of 2 children with the help of daycare and my family, packing up our house, finding new date, like all it was atrocious. And I did it every night by myself. So I don't want to give the man a medal for doing it 3 nights.
Right.
It's not like it's someone else's children.
Right. Right.
It's a doozy. And I get my hair done on Thursday when I'm out of town, so I'm super excited about that.
Oh, nice. See, that's a self-care.
Yes.
Right
Oh God. You know what? I am so thankful and appreciative of being able to do things like that, just financially, because I know that I have friends that are not able to do that kind of thing. And I don't even know. That sounds horrible. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thankful that we are able to afford for me to go get my hair done.
Yes.
Or pedicures. I mean, I know you talk about that, like just I went to get a pedicure over the weekend, and they had a magazine that was almost 2 years old. And I texted my girlfriend. She's like, that's how you know it's a good place. And they did do a good job. And I was like, in and out. I'm like, I was the only one in there. I was like, oh God, it's usually a bad sign, but with desperate times, I had to make it work in the time that I had. And I sure as hell was not going to go home without getting a pedicure. I went to one place and it was full. Another place, they didn't have time for me. So I started calling around, made this one work. I'm like, I'm getting these toes done, come hell or high water, and then I will go home. And I did.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite self-care activities.
I love it.
So,
It makes me
all
feel
right.
so
Well,
nice.
I know time is precious, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I'm very appreciative of you giving some time, and
Of course.
it's not that I have thousands of listeners at this point in time, but I think,
It'll just be me and you listening later.
it'll be me and you and some of my friends from work, but
And
some of those people are, in the same situation that you are, where they have small kids, and it's hard to give yourself permission to take a few breaths for yourself.
Yeah. I think, I told you just the other day that getting back to on my running schedule, I think I told you this, that one of the excuses I gave myself was like, oh gosh, if I'm out of the house and one of the kids wakes up, then Kevin has to deal with it. Like, so?
Yeah.
So I just kind of, okay, so he has to deal with it, or like, oh my gosh, like even right now talking to you, I can see my phone, my work phone, and I've missed a couple calls from people. And I'm like, you know what? It's technically my lunchtime, but if I'm here, I do the work, and I usually don't take a lunch break in that sense. But I don't work in the medical field. I'm not going to be solving lives during this phone call, or curing cancer during this phone call. Like, I can let it go. It's fine. I can get back to people. No one's losing life or limb, and if they are, I don't know why they're calling me, because I'm not a blood and guts person. I cannot help you. Call someone
You are
else.
a funny person.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
I hope this resonates with some people, and I really appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking me, and get back to that letter writing. I'll be waiting by the mailbox. But first, I'm going to go get those shoes that just got delivered.
That sounds fantastic.
All right.